Welcome back, it's good to see you again. Today we will be going over most, if not all, the terminology the cats in Among the Wood use. To start off with a quick and easy spitfire round, we've got some common words that refer to age, rank, and gender. Starting with gender, we've got words for male and female cats. Not respectively born male or female, but that is what they identify as. These words are Tom and Molly, just as we call real-life male and female cats. You then have the term for non-binary cats, which is wren. And then you have a few derogatory terms. These are for spayed or transgender cats. Gib and lay refer to Toms and Mollies who have either been born of the opposite gender or been spayed. And as much as I hate that these words have to exist, for the sake of realism and for the sake of inclusion of what really happens in the real world and what I have seen really close friends go through, and I don't want to exclude from any of my writing if I am writing about these issues, they exist. Speaking of cats who can have kittens, we have the words for parents, which is dam and sire. A dam is a pregnant molly or a molly who has some kittens still in the nursing den. A sire is very much the same, of course without the pregnancy. Moving on from gender and onto some rank and age-related terminology. I've been referring to them as kittens, but if you were to use that term with a cat in Among the Wood, they would have no idea what you're talking about. Instead, they refer to their offspring as sprigs. Partly from the word offspring and partly from a sprig of fresh growth. And sprigs remain nameless until they are either 6 months or a year old. It depends what society you're looking into. From there, they will go for a ceremony, gaining a name and a new terminology for their age and rank. Much akin to warrior cats' apprentices, they are referred to as blooms, as in a blooming flower, much in theme with the sprig name of kittens. And they go through a similar process of the apprentice's training, though there's a bit of a twist on it, but I'll save that for another episode. Again, following the structure of the warrior cat's world, a cat will become a seasoned after it's gone through the stage of its life where it's a bloom. This is our equivalent to a warrior, more or less. It really only means a cat is fully capable of hunting and fighting and caring for their peers, and has nothing to do with the cat's actual age, and more with what they've learnt and the knowledge they possess. Before I move on to some more high-ranking, fancy terms, I should probably finally say what a group of cats is referred to in this world. That being a kindred, which is basically our equivalent for clan, if you will. And a leading light is the name given to a leader of a kindred. When addressed by those who aren't close friends, they'll be addressed to by first their title of leading light and then their name, though a lot of them just tend to think this is a bit too serious and insist that everybody just calls them by their name. Without structure and order, there would be no such thing as a leading light, so of course there's a midway point between being a seasoned and being a leading light. These are referred to as starlets, and they are chosen out by their kindred. Every animal has a den, every animal has a home, and of course, being a society, kindreds have to have a place where all their cats can sleep and eat and be well taken care of. These are referred to as a niche. While we're talking about kindreds and niches and all these things, there's going to be some terminology to talk about their past. There's really only one main word to talk about the past, and that is a forebearer, which is any significant first, second, or third generation cat that has sort of, made the history books. Perhaps they claim to have invented the law or kindreds themselves, but if they were important, if they fought in a big battle or discovered medicine or something or other, they will be referred to as a forebearer. Now, I've been talking about kindreds and seasons and all of these things that you would find in a normal warrior cat's life. And everybody must be thinking, oh my god, where are the medicine cats? How do these cats take care of themselves? Well, that's because a kindred isn't the only type of group in this world with its own territory. In parallel and their own lives to a kindred, there will be a coven, which is a group of cats called Soothsayers and land healers. And they live on their own so as to stay out of the sort of drama and personal lives of kindreds. Those two terms I referred to earlier, Soothsayers and land healers, let's go into them. A soothsayer is a cat that is upheld and renowned for their wisdom, and they're said to be able to see the future, though this isn't true. Despite not being magical cats with powers, they are taught by their fellow Soothsayers that have come generations and generations before them to be able to speak really charismatically and to have a lot of common sense and to sort of see everything in a very objective way. And they're generally seen as the advisors for leading lights, and they're brought in to de-escalate arguments and wars and all sorts of things. If a Soothsayer's about, things are hopefully going to go really well. Next you have land healers. These are basically our equivalent for a medicine cat. They are really versatile with the land, they know everything about it, they understand how it works, they know where the herbs are, they know how to treat illnesses and sprains and injuries and all these sorts of things, and that's what they're seen as, and that's what they're important for. Now, we have a lot of the same structure as warrior cats, but kind of without a lot of the magical aspects, because I wanted to bring it back down and I wanted to focus on the cat aspect and all the drama and illnesses and crazy stuff that can come out of just wild cats being wild cats. This must bring into question the topic of religion. And to address it, they don't have a magical afterlife, nobody really knows about it, but they do have a religion, not a very strong one, just a belief in an afterlife, a centralized belief in the endless wild. They don't see it as something controlled by a higher power. They do just believe that it is a place where they will roam endlessly as their best selves and hunt and be with friends and all of that. They may not have any proof, but, you know, it's a comforting thought at the end of the day. However, this must sound like a heaven, and not all cats can go to heaven, right? What do you do with all the rapists and murderers and terrible people out there? Well, they are believed to stay on the earth as ghosts, and this is sort of my most magical factor about this, is that sometimes they'll see ghosts, and that's because personally, I believe in ghosts, I think ghosts are real. So, yeah, ghosts are in here. Ghosts are all the terrible, horrible, nasty cats that have to stay wandering, trapped on Earth as ghosts until they work through their problems and better themselves. Really better themselves. They can't pretend. There's no higher force going, oh, you look like you've bettered yourself. Come back in. No, they have to go through a personal journey and right some wrongs in their head and do all sorts of things until they are personally better cats. So some cats never get to the endless wild, if the endless wild is even real. Well, I've gotten through pretty much everything now. I have a few loose ends to just sort of throw in and tie up. We've got some relationship terms. We've got binded and binding, which are terms for when two cats sort of get married. You've got courting, which is sort of a flingy relationship, you know, they're boyfriend and girlfriend, they're not married, they're not viewed as, oh, these cats have to be together forever. And for the sake of realism, you have the term mating, mated, which is their equivalent for the term sex. You may ask, what are the terms for human things like cars and roads and houses and all of this, and like, are there any specific words for predators and prey? That is actually completely up to the group. There is no set anything for those. It sort of all depends on where they came from. If they originated from house pets, they'll know all the names of houses and roads and cars and all of that, but if they're wild descendant and have never seen that, they may have some really funny words for things. You never know. That's what I like about this world. There are a lot of aspects where you can just kind of go ham wild and create really, really different stories, and it's not always a cookie-cutter template. Anyway, everyone, that will be all for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know this was a kind of longer one. The first one was an introductory thing, and it was super short. I hope I've been entertaining enough for this entire time, and I will see you next time where we'll be going through some of their traditions. I think that one's going to be a really fun one. Have a good night, everyone. Goodbye.